Morning. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to hear about, because I'm always looking at different ways to help, hypnotists, coaches, and helpers expand their business, get into business, and grow it. And I think that's important because we learn a skill set, and we're like doctors, lawyers, chiropractors. They get this great skill set, and then they say, go forth. And then it's why doctors, lawyers, chiropractors end up in financial hell till they figure out how to, or working for a big group practice. And unfortunately, in the hypnosis, NLP, and coaching world, there's really no network of big practices you can go to work for. And, I see it all the time. And I can tell you the reason this is important in my other part of my career is I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm a clinical director for a state agency doing some online stuff. And a lot of even licensed professionals are looking at expanding their business in different ways because the old model here in the States, especially, the old models don't work, insurance and all that. And so I'm always excited to hear how people do it, what they can do to grow their business, and that. So, excuse me. So I'll let you guys introduce yourself, Miss Allison and Miss Shauna. One's from Canada. Hey, I know that's corny, but I have to say that. And then one's from what part of Florida, Miss Shannon?
So I'm just near Sarasota.
Oh, you're right by me. I'm in Venice. That's right.
You're kidding. I had no idea we were that close. Well, we must meet for lunch one day.
Yeah. And but you sound like you're from East Florida with your accent. In fact, where are you from, the UK?
I am. Yeah, I'm from London.
Oh, okay. I asked because tomorrow night I fly to London.
You do? I'm so jealous.
Yeah, I fly to do a lead in a movie. That's my main career now. That's what I'm doing more of. And I get to fly Virgin Air. I've never flown Virgin Air. I have no idea what it's like. So
Side note, I flew Virgin in May for the first time. You'll love it.
Okay. And they have a direct flight from Tampa to London. So
yeah, only way to do it. Okay. We digress.
How about Miss Allison? Tell us a little bit about yourself, why what you're doing and all that. And then we'll hand it to Miss Shannon.
Oh, sounds good.
Anna.
Okay.
Shannon.
Yes, I'm Allison Loney. I'm located in Vancouver, Canada. I have been a clinical hypnotherapist and NLP practitioner for the last 7 years. And recently, when I say recently, probably in the last 3 months, I came up with a plan with Shanna. We'll get more into that later, where we united on a project, and that's really what we're going to talk about today. And it's really exciting. Happy to talk a little bit more about that. And thank you, Will, for having us. Thank you very much.
Good. How about Miss Shanna?
Well, thank you, and lovely to meet you. We've had a little conversation in the past, haven't we, that we just talked about. But yes, I am Shauna Rosenthal, currently in Sarasota, Florida. Been here for 13 years. Prior to that, I did all of my training, hypnosis, NLP, and lots of other things as well. And then moved from London to here, and I've loved it ever since. And the reason why we're collaborating is because Allison and I have been in a coaching program with, I don't know if you know Ryan Montes. He's an awesome guy, by the way. If anybody knows or doesn't know him, look him up. He's great. But anyway, we were in a coaching program together, and we, bonded a little bit, and we had a conversation that was very revealing. We were talking about each other's businesses, and well, Allison, you tell it so well about, from your perspective, what happened. So why don't you explain it, because it's pivotal as to why we're here.
Well, and it relates to what Will was saying earlier. You get out of school, you're well trained, and you have lots of, I have a board certification, so you have 30 hours to do each year, so you're really well educated, but there is no substitute for experience, practical experience. You gotta have consistent work. And I think for a lot of people who graduate and finish and are studied, they get out and the challenge is clientele, a steady stream of clientele. So I was seeing clients. I had a really good part-time gig going on, but I thought I want to take this next level. And I was sort of like bumping up against that hurdle. And then in the coaching program, you and I were talking, and I said, you seem to have a steady stream of clients. Like, what's your secret sauce? I want to know, give it to me. And that started the conversation with what you're doing, and then how we came together to take it up here. And yeah, so Shauna, you shared with me the fact that you don't just trade your time for session work repeatedly, one-off sessions here and there, but you do something a little bit different. So that's what we came together to work on.
Yeah. And really, we need sustainability in this profession. Seeing clients, it's wonderful, but if you want sustainability, so that you can do more of this, you enjoy it, but if you are working and you are in the cycle of needing to replace the clients because you're just talking to clients about session work, and charging them for a session and then hoping they come back for another session, you end up burnt out and you end up not being paid your true value. And so people end up giving up because they just can't make it a sustainable profession to be in. And so I described to Alison exactly what I've been doing for the last 3-4 years. It has made a huge difference in how I work, how much more I enjoy doing this work because of it. And it was about making some incremental changes in my business and the what I produce for my client experience. Because I think we've all heard the term high ticket and premium pricing. And honestly, every time I hear that, and I know that that's in the title of this live discussion, and every time I hear it, I kind of shudder inside. It doesn't feel good to me, those words. But we've all been told, and I'm sure you've been in this business for longer than a few months, you've heard that term. We need to be charging more. We need to be, looking at high ticket, and it just doesn't feel good to me, right?
I think that was when you and I started speaking, that's what I realized I was up against, was that notion I had in my head where I had the ick factor, where I don't like forcing packages on people and calling them things like high ticket. But I realized, I think this is the rub, and I think this is what we're addressing, is the fact that I didn't want to just charge more. That's it. I needed to find extreme value for the client to justify the higher ticket. And that was the disconnect that was happening for me. And that's why I had this sort of like belief I couldn't get past in my head. And then that's what we're addressing. That's that disconnect. So you're not just charging, you're not trying to foist anything on anyone. You're not trying to talk them into a program. You are simply giving them more value to get better results, and you are being subsidized for it. Really, I think that's what we're talking about.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me start with a question. So we heard about the inspiration that caused you to do this. So what was like the first thing you did? Because, I know a lot of people have trouble with this. And that seems to be the split in our world, where people go, they push back on it. But it seems like, and I know quite a few hypnotist coaches, NLPers, it seems to be like they either make a pretty decent living, they're doing quite well, or they're down at the poverty level and they can't seem to keep going to the next level. And a lot of it's based on what you just said, doing you know, I was trained to call them packages, right? This is, you know, the packages. So when people, and I'm back into thinking that people say, well, how much for a session? I said, well, you know, like I have this one package, I call it results-based coaching, and it's $497 for 2 to 3 sessions. And if we hit these benchmarks, then we can move on, right? But I've told that to other people and the pushback you get. So what was the pushback in your head? And excuse me, how did you overcome it?
Yeah, well, I can take this one first. My pushback in my head was, it's hard enough to get clients for one hypnosis session because people don't understand hypnosis. So you have to explain it to a lot of people what it is and overcome a lot of really manage expectations. It's not magic. Sometimes you can affect a lot of change in one session. Absolutely, you can make them feel good, but really we know repetition works and that it requires more work on their part to continue and keep it going. So it's hard enough to get one client for one session. How can I possibly ask for more? That was what I had to get past. And I did that through talking to Shauna, and sort of relates back to what I said about, oh, I'm actually offering them a lot more. I'm not just asking for more money because I want to sell more. It's not really based on that. It is simply, oh, I can get better results for you with a commitment to something else. And it's a win-win for both of us. So Shauna, how would you answer that?
You know, I think that if we have the right training, which the majority of us do, we have really good training, we can and we are excellent at providing a premium outcome for our clients, right? They're wowed by what we can do in these sessions. What we're not so great at is the premium experience. And I think that's what I've certainly figured out, what I've talked to Alison about, and Alison was the one that's like, oh my God, there's something here, right? Because what we're talking about is having the roadmap to what that premium experience would be and how to offer that to your clients so that it makes sense to them and you feel great about not just the outcome, but now the experience that you're able to offer, and therefore be charging more for it that sits well with you and it sits well with them.
Cool.
I was just going to add quickly that it actually creates more confidence in the practitioner, I think, doing it this way. That was certainly my experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you go about helping? First of all, two-part question. Is this kind of, how do you help people make that leap and begin to transition? So how do you do that? And is this good for both, like people starting out, so they don't have a bad not skill set, they don't have bad beliefs yet, right? And as well as for people that have been doing it a while.
Yeah. So there's certain things that you must do, and there's certain things that you must have, right? And that it's not difficult. It's just, it's just that or this, right? You either have and do, or you don't have and you don't do. And so this this roadmap that we've kind of come up with here, Alice and I, we're running a masterclass next week for free. It's going to be just over an hour, I think, where we're going to be giving away, the things that you must do and the things that you must have. And so we're on a mission to help as many of our peers as possible, because we feel that this is really, really important and this is missing in our in our industry. And if we can do a little bit to kind of show these things that you have to do and these things that you have to have, so that you can, take that and run with it, then, we must do it. So next week we're running a free masterclass. I'll put a link in the comments. you must sign up. It's going to be on Zoom, but we do need registration because we need to know how many people are going to be there. We've already got, Alison, you don't even know this, but there's now 33 people that have signed up as of this morning. And we've only really just started talking about this. I think like yesterday was the first time we've kind of said, this is what we're going to do. So I know it's going to be very popular.
I'm going to add to Will's second point. You can absolutely be a seasoned practitioner or a new graduate to take part in this and to benefit from it, because it is all about how this can help you manage your time, manage the client's time, get better results, more sustainable results, and to run a more effective business, really. Like, we are in business to make money as well as be of service to people. We are both. And, you have to maintain both for yourself and for the clients. So anyone who is trained, a graduate hypnotist, clinical hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, a therapist, really, of any kind, you are welcome to come to this class. It's going to be fun. It's just over an hour.
Well, you know what I've always noticed, and we'll get to like, what can the people expect by going to the class next week? What date? We'll put it out for
Thursday. Oh, what is it?
26th.
26th at 1 p.m. Eastern.
I'll be shooting a sniper scene that afternoon. But
well, it's going to be
time.
Recorded. It's going to be recorded. So if you sign up, you'll get the recording.
That was the third question I was going to ask. Make sure it's recorded so people, how can people get it? So
do sign up, because we'll send an email with the recording out.
And quick, just a comment, then the question. The comment is, I go to a lot of conferences, hypnosis conference. There's not too many NLP conferences. And I clash with most NLP people because they're incompetent. I just say it that way. I don't. But yeah, I go to a lot of hypnosis conferences and a few coaching conferences, and even in the psych world, because I have to go to conferences for my CEUs. You know what I've noticed, and I think this gets to what you're talking about. I'll see people there. Let's use hypnotists, and they're starting out and they want to make. They keep saying, "I need more business. I need more business," and then there'll be a few classes being offered, right? And so one will be like, build your business. And, if you read the guy's bio, he's built a couple of businesses. He knows how to do this, either online or in person. Okay, great. And then, so that class will be going on. And then maybe a class on, like, I hate to sound this way, channeling angels, which is great. It's fun. But the same people that like, I want to make more money. I need to build a business. Oh, they'll go to the angel one. They won't walk. And then I'll notice when I walk, because I'm always in the business ones usually, right? And what I notice is I look around the room and it's the people that are already have a pretty good business, because I go under the thing, the time I need to build my business is when my business is going well, right? Because those clients are, if I do my job, they're going to transition to do other stuff probably. And so, so what can people expect in your class coming up, the 26th?
Yeah, so we're gonna address the thing. I think it sort of is the same as what you're saying. We're gonna address the things that certain people need to overcome in order to get more business and take it to the next level. And it requires, to be successful, requires discipline. It's not as simple as being passive in a program. Obviously, you have to implement certain things, but I think we've made it really palatable as an implementation. So it is really for everyone, even the people that like to go to things that are just pertaining to angels.
Yeah, and we are going to be, telling you exactly what you need to do to achieve this, right? We are, because I think it's important. And then with that, you can decide then, whether to do it or not to do it. But you're absolutely, you're going to know what the steps are that need to happen in order for the good stuff to come to you, right? And it's not difficult at all, but it is really, really important.
That's sort of the nature of what we work with. There's a simplicity to it, but it still must be, it must be executed at the same time.
And what do you think is a couple of the main things that hold, practitioners back from diving in and trying this?
I think that one of the main things that we tend to, and this was a belief I had a few years ago before I started implementing these things, is the belief that clients are not willing to pay more, right? Because they just, that has been their experience. They haven't implemented the steps that it takes to explain it properly enough. The value, right, aspect of it is what I'm talking about. And really the belief that their potential clients won't pay more, so they never ask it or know how to ask for it in a way that feels good to them and to the client, so that they can see the value. Does that make sense? Have I articulated it correctly?
Yeah. And I'll add, for me, it was, and this goes back to my training too, we change things very quickly, especially by comparison in the therapeutic world. Why would we be offering a program or a package? Why would we be getting the client to commit to more when we can absolutely do it just like that? That was another part of it for me.
Yeah, and you realize the value you're bringing, and that. I can tell you a quick shift that happened to me, an identity shift. And I don't even want to say how long ago. I've been doing this, but somebody was at my clinic when I had my clinic, and they came down to get some extra training, some hands-on. So they were hypnotizing clients, all that fun stuff. And I had a person walk in and go, I don't have a lot of time, but you help my aunt lose weight, and I got this fear of heights. And I'm like, yeah, we could do that. And it's just standing in the waiting room, and we're talking. I go, why do you want to do this? He goes, well, I'm an iron worker, and if I go, the higher up I go, the more money I make. And I got a chance to work on some skyscrapers in Chicago. This was up there. He goes, and I need the money, but I'm afraid of heights. And I was just telling the guy I was working with on, don't be afraid to ask. And he goes, but I'm only here for a while. Can you help me? And I go, yeah, but let me ask, because he goes, well, how much would it cost? I go, well, let me ask you a question. What would it be worth to you if in one session I could get you to go up? And he goes, $1,000. This was 30 years ago, over 30. And I go, you're lucky. It's only $795. Tell you what I'll do. Either, this is back in the day, write me a check. I won't cash it till it works. And so then we did the standing in the waiting room, did the fast phobia technique. I went and finished another client, came back, it was lunchtime. We went off, and he knew somebody on a job site, and he went up, came down, and says, cash the check.
There you go.
I tell you the truth, at that moment, I'm like, oh, this stuff does work.
Yeah. There are some things for sure you can address in very quickly.
Oh, yeah. Well, I told him he probably could go, do some follow-ups later on, but, it was a teaching tool for me. So let me ask one more question. Besides that issue of that, what else do you think stops many hypnotherapists from pulling the trigger? Because this, a lot of people talk about doing this. What do you think? The belief, the identity, the program they're running. What do you think it is, and how do you help address that?
Actually, going to be addressing specifically people's beliefs around this. And I think there can be a number of things. I think if they're newly out of school, there can be that sort of inertia because they don't know where to start. Maybe a little bit of, I'm not experienced enough. I can't go in and just make a big offering. There can be an element of that. There can be an element of, like, we're bombarded with packages, promotions, that kind of thing, and you don't want to add to it maybe. So that goes back to what you want to do is make sure you are offering absolute value. You're not just asking for more money. So we are going to address, like you just mentioned, Will, all of the things that come up around the notion of simply being able to ask for something that you should be required to in your business, like you did 30 years ago when you told that guy that you were going to help him go up higher. So we're going to be addressing those things on the 26th and assisting with those very things. Shauna, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, and it's also, you know, it's this absolutely feeling good about what you're offering, right? So it has to have, you know, a perceived higher value, but also an actual higher value. You can't just go and do the same thing. You can't just talk for an hour in a session and perform hypnosis one day and charge $100, and the next day do exactly the same thing and charge $500, right? That doesn't feel good. That feels unethical to me and completely, you know, just not what we should be doing. So it's about really understanding the incremental changes that need to happen so that you feel good about what you're asking for, what the offer is, and the client can see the value in it and can't wait to say yes. And then what happens is you end up getting so many client referrals because more people want the same because of that experience that original client had.
Yeah.
That's it.
And what time is it next? A week from today, in fact.
It is. It's 1 p.m. Eastern.
1 p.m. Eastern.
Which is 10 a.m. Pacific time for all you people in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh yeah.
And
Well,
if you're in Europe, I can't help you with that.
It's 6 p.m. It's 6 p.m. London time.
Okay.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, I gotta get that in my head.
Yeah, you're gonna be 5 hours ahead.
Yeah.
You're gonna be 5 hours ahead.
Well, I'm going in a couple of days early to just to help set my body clock.
That's probably best considering you're working with a sniper scene.
Yeah, I'm well, you know, it's what we do, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we help people get what they want out of life. And I had a friend of mine who was my voice coach. One day we were talking, and he goes, "Well, you help all these people, you know, lose weight, da 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 da, and you know, go for that, build their business." And he goes, "Let me ask you a question. Why aren't you doing film? You always said you wanted to do film. You do all these plays. Why aren't you doing film?" And I go, "You son of a bitch, why are you calling me out on my own stuff?" And so I started doing it, and I did what you guys are talking about. I found people that were mature, let's use that word, you know, not kids starting out in acting, and maybe had a lot of theater experience. How did they transition? Because I'm a firm believer, you guys are doing it. Find people that are doing what you want to do and then model what they do. It's what we teach in NLP. It's like, how do you do this? And, you know, so there's that. So would you give us a quick, like if you want to say overview, send off about, you know, what you're going to do in the class and why it's so important that people be there? Because I'm a firm believer in we have to work on our mindset business wise as much as our skill set, you know, clinical wise.
Yeah, we are going to share with everyone who comes the very things that made our businesses successful. Shauna has been doing it for several years. She shared it with me. I implemented it right away, saw the evidence within the first month, and therefore we've worked on something that we are going to share with others so they can have the same results in their business and get the same results for their clients.
What she said.
Okay. And the link will be in, oh, I spilled the drink on myself. The link will be in the comments below. And so it's going to be, I'm going to be, depends what time I finish that day. I may be on the thing, but I'll definitely watch the recording. Because at least I believe anymore, I spend, like my friend who's a medical doctor, I spend almost as much time studying business as I do the clinical side, right? Because I can only help more people if I know what I'm doing and I keep the doors open.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think that is a missing piece with us as a profession, that we certainly from my training, which was 15 years ago, that wasn't addressed. And so we come out all excited about helping people and changing the world. And then the realization is, right, where are the people, right? So I think our job is really 50-50. You know, we want to help the people, but if we don't know what we're doing to get the people, because we help people so quickly, it's a constant, you know, need for new people to help. And it's a big problem if you don't pay attention to the business side of it. It's not sustainable. So this is a big answer to that.
Oh, good.
So come join us.
Yeah, join us. And I tell you, it's like if I'm teaching a class, like a basic NLP class, and there's someone in the room that is a business person. I still remember this happened last year. I think there was a guy in the room. It was on Zoom, but he owned an insurance company. He sold his insurance company, right? And so he goes, I want to help people. I want to do this. And just without saying, I go, you will be the one guy out of this class, I can almost guarantee you're going to do well. And he's probably got a high six-figure income in less than a year, because he goes, well, and I said, just whatever built your business as an insurance agent, highly competitive market, everything like that, do the same thing for this. So, and we got to learn, but he had that mindset going in, unfortunately, but I'm seeing the field change. Last question, just a personal one. One of the things I'm seeing the field change is people are, because of the internet, people are coming into the field, seeing people that are already doing quite well, which I can tell you 30 years ago was rare, you know, and now, so it's, you know, it sets a different expectation.
Yes, it totally does. I mean, when I trained 15 years ago, I'm still in contact with the people that trained me. And that class, there were 25 of us, and this was in clinical hypnotherapy, my original class. And there was like 25 people in that class. I'm the only one who is still doing this out of that original class. And it's just because it really isn't, if you don't know what you're doing, it's not sustainable, unfortunately, you know.
So it's,
Yeah,
go ahead, Miss Alice.
Well, it was the same for me. A lot of people I knew who started out with me are not, and never did actually practice. And I think that's really too bad, but I do think it's because they're kind of left hanging in a way as to next steps. But you do, well, you're so right. You need to really make some mindset shifts around business and tackle that first.
Cool. Yeah, you know what? You just brought back a memory on my basic NLP class, which back then there wasn't even manuals. There weren't levels. I go back early 80s. But there were 40 of us in the room. I think there are 2 of us still doing. And other than Bandler, Grinder, and the few of the founders that are still going, even most of the trainers don't do this anymore. So, you know, so yeah, and it reminds me of a couple other trainings I've been to where they always say, look to the left of you, look to the right of you. At least one of you will not be here in 7 days. So it was a couple of trainings, and I'm like, I want to be one of those. Then you have to do what we're telling you to do. So that's what we have to do. So Thursday, excuse me, September 26th, the link will be below, and it'll be a lot of fun.